All right, let's talk about what makes a product a huge success or a total flop. Today, we're going to break down the 7 critical factors that really define a user's experience. Let's get right into it.
So let me just ask you this. If a product is easy to use, is that enough? Does that automatically mean it's going to be a winner? A lot of people would say yes, but honestly, that's not even close to the full picture. User experience is this huge, massive field, and just being usable is only one small piece of a much, much bigger puzzle.
So what is user experience, or UX? Well, think of it as this critical combination of factors that ultimately decides if a product lives or dies. If you really want to create something successful, you have to understand the total experience from the user's point of view. And that means looking at every single angle.
Okay, so here's our game plan. First, we'll lay out the framework we're using. Then we'll dive into the foundational factors, talk about crafting the user journey, see what it takes to build trust, and finally, bring it all home to the ultimate goal, which is value.
And to really get a handle on this, we're going to lean on the work of Peter Morville. He's a real pioneer in the UX world, and he created this brilliant framework that breaks down the entire user experience into 7 distinct but totally interconnected factors.
And here they are, the big 7: useful, usable, findable, credible, desirable, accessible, and valuable. These are literally the building blocks for any great user experience. So let's really break down what each one of these actually means.
Let's start right at the bottom, with the absolute foundation. These are the 2 factors that are completely 100% non-negotiable if you want your product to even have a chance of surviving.
First up, is the product useful? Does it actually have a real purpose? Does it solve a problem for someone? Because if it doesn't, it really has no reason to exist in the first place. And then, is it usable? This is all about efficiency. Can people actually pick it up and achieve their goals without wanting to tear their hair out? And this quote just nails it, right? A car's main job is to get you from point A to point B. If it can't drive, who cares how amazing the sound system is or how comfortable the seats are? It's fundamentally not useful. That's the key.
Okay, moving on. Let's talk about the factors that really shape how users find your product and, just as important, how they feel about it. This is where we start to go beyond just the basic function.
On one hand, you've got Findable. Can people even locate your product or the stuff inside your product? Pretty straightforward. If you can't find it, you can't use it. But then you've got desirable. This is all about the emotional pull, that I've got to have it feeling that comes from branding and aesthetics and the whole identity of the product.
Think about it. It's Friday night, you're scrolling through Netflix, they have thousands of incredible movies and shows, but if you can't find something that you're in the mood for pretty quickly, all that amazing content is basically worthless. You'll just give up and do something else. Findability is absolutely everything.
And this comparison is just perfect for explaining desirability. Look, a Skoda and a Porsche. They're both useful. They're both usable cars. They get the job done. But let's be honest, for most of us, the Porsche is way, way more desirable. That emotional connection, that brand cachet, that's what separates a perfectly good product from a truly iconic one.
Okay, so your product works, people want it. But for it to have any real lasting power, you've got to build a relationship with your users. And that brings us to 2 really important factors: credibility and accessibility. Credibility is all about trust. Do your users believe what you're telling them? Do they trust that your product is going to work the way you say it will? Then there's accessibility, which is all about inclusivity. Can your product be used by everyone, including people who might have disabilities like impaired vision or hearing?
And if you want to see what happens when that trust completely evaporates, just look at Volkswagen. Their emissions scandal didn't just cost them an insane amount of money, up to $30 billion. It absolutely shattered the trust of their customers, and that's something they are still fighting to get back. It is a perfect, catastrophic example of losing credibility.
And look, accessibility isn't some optional checkbox or a nice-to-have feature. It's crucial. When you design for a full range of abilities, you often end up making the product better and easier to use for everybody. Oh, and by the way, in a lot of places, it's now the law. So ignoring accessibility isn't just bad ethics, it's really bad business. All right, we're finally here, the top of the pyramid. The one single factor that brings everything else together and really defines whether a product is a true long-term success.
And that factor is, of course, that a product has to be valuable. And value isn't just one thing. It's the sum of all the other parts we've been talking about. It has to deliver real value to the customer using it, and it has to deliver value back to the business that made it. If that two-way street of value isn't there, any success is going to be short-lived.
So, there you have it. Let's run through them one last time.
Useful, usable, findable, desirable, credible, accessible, and at the very top, valuable. The products that manage to hit all 7 of these marks, those are the ones that don't just sell well, they're the ones that people absolutely love to use. So here's the big takeaway, right? Knowing this framework is one thing, but applying it, that's the real game. And the really interesting question now is, as we look at this next wave of technology, how can we master these principles to build truly great AI products?
Because when you start talking about AI, applying these principles gets even more interesting. It takes this totally unique set of skills. You've got to understand the AI tech itself, but you also have to master product strategy and design in a whole new world. It's really a brand new frontier for user experience.
So if you're ready to dive deeper and really figure out how to lead in this new age of AI, you can find a ton of resources and insights in the AI Product Management Playbook over on LinkedIn. We've dropped the link in the description for you. Thanks for tuning in.